All right. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the end of the week. Hopefully, you're having a great day. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I don't know. Anyway, 15 game slate. We're going to talk about every game. Let's talk about yesterday. Gave you guys 3 best bets. We went 0 for 3 after a very nice day the previous day, where we went up almost 4 units. Gave back 3 yesterday. Unfortunate. We had Yamamoto 5Ks in the Dodgers money line. Dodgers came out flat, and I mean flat. Should have seen it. I mean, traveling from Miami over to Arizona. Arizona was staying home, and I love that spot, though. Yamamoto, probably one of his worst starts of the year. He looked terrible. So it is what it is. Twins first 5 minus a half a run. Got off to a great start, 1-0 lead, and then, wow, just got absolutely tagged from there. It wasn't good. Ober was getting hit hard. I mean, they were hunting fastballs. So we ended up losing that one. Twins ultimately won the game after a nice 8th inning rally. Then we had Phillies race to 4. Again, very similar to the Twins game. Started off with a run the first. I'm like, sweet, here we go. And then didn't score again until the 8th inning. Of course, the Rays hit a 3-run home run to crush this bet because the Phillies would have got it the next inning. So Phillies ultimately ended up winning as well. So a couple of heartbreakers there, but you know what? That's baseball, guys. Just glad we only did 3 plays. But I've got 5 that I really like today. So let's talk about this slate here. So first game on the slate is going to be the Braves and the Pirates. Braves coming off back-to-back extra inning games against the Reds, where they ultimately won because the Reds cannot score in extra innings, which is sad. Bryce Elder going up against Bailey Falter. Elder is 2-1 with a 5.06 ERA. Bailey Falter is 1-3, also with a 5.06 ERA. 54 degrees, mid-humidity, but we do have high pressure. And we've got an 11-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to right field. Now, Atlanta hasn't faced a ton of left-handed pitching. And they've been subpar against it, to be honest. But this is going to be the 3rd straight night they're facing a lefty starter. They faced Andrew Abbott. He dealt. They faced Lodolo. He dealt. And now they get Bailey Falter. So do I have a lot of confidence in this Braves lineup against a lefty starter? No. Do I like that they're seeing them 3 straight days? Yes. But both of these teams are struggling with the sticks, versus lefties. Braves are hitting 214 over the past week, 215 over the past 2 weeks with a 49 WRC plus. The Pirates versus right-handed pitching has been actually worse. They're hitting under 200 over the last 2 weeks. They're hitting exactly 200 over the past week with a 65 WRC plus. Braves have been K'ing like crazy against lefties. But like I said, this is very Abbott and Lodolo related, who both have very good outings. Don't trust either pitcher. Lean Pirates and lean the over. Pirates had an off day yesterday. Like I said, Braves coming off back-to-back days, had to use a decent amount of bullpen arms. I just don't like this spot for them. There's no way in hell I'm paying minus 148 with Bryce Elder on the bump. Over 9 would be my first pick, and then Pirates. Next game is going to be the Rangers and the Tigers. We do have a play in this one. It's going to be Patrick Corbin going up against Tariq Skubal, the reigning AL Cy Young. It's going to be 61 degrees, mid-humidity, but we do have some pretty high pressure, but we do have the wind blowing out a little bit to right center. Home runs are going to be down about 22%, runs down about 11%. Patrick Corbin on the year, I got to tip my cap. I mean, we faded the hell out of him last year, but he's been fairly okay. Still giving up an opponent average of 293, but only has an ERA of 3.28, and he's 2-1 on the year. Tariq Skubal, 3-2 on the year with a 227 opponent average and a 2.21 ERA. This is one I don't like this spot for the Tigers, especially I'm not paying this price. Tigers are coming off just absolute beatdown of the Rockies and Coors in a doubleheader yesterday. But then you've got to travel all the way back home. Yesterday was a really long day. I just expect them to come out flat. I think they wake up. Pitch mix for Corbin doesn't look great. Throws a fastball and a cutter. And then he throws a slider about 35% of the time, mixes up a changeup and a curveball, very, very few. So pretty much just a slider, fastball, cutter guy. Fastball and cutter are two strengths for this Tigers team. So I don't love that. But like I said, I do expect them to come out pretty flat here. And I think that Skubal will be able to get through this Rangers lineup. Now, there are some things that are a little scary here, if I'm being honest. We look at the pitch splits versus Skubal. I mean, there is some guys with a decent amount of success against Skubal. Adolis Garcia is 3 for 9. Wyatt Langford's 2 for 5. Corey Seager is 6 for 9. Jonah Heim is 3 for 8. Marcus Semien is 3 for 7. So I really can't get behind that. But what I can get behind is the Nerfy, right? We look, Rangers are coming off a pretty bad series against Boston. Lost the last 2 games in that one. 3-7 in their last 10. Tigers have won 4 straight. They're 13-3 at home, whereas the Rangers are 6-12 on the road. Give me the Nerfy. Minus 125. We're going to do no run first inning. I just expect both teams to come out a little flat here. So that's my angle in that one. So that'll be our first best bet. Next one, Cardinals and the Nats. Eric Fetty going up against Mitchell Parker. At home, Nats are 10-9. On the road, Cardinals have been one of the best home teams in baseball this season. They're 15-6 at home. However, on the road, one of the worst. They're 4-13, but they have won 5 straight, 7-3 in their last 10. Nats are 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost the last 2 games. Mitchell Parker on the mound, 3-2 with a sub-2 opponent average, 3.48 ERA. Fetty 2-3, 2.43 opponent average, 4.78 ERA. Now, the downfall for Fetty has been right-handed hitters. The good news for Fetty, he is going to face a ton of lefties. He's probably only going to see 2 righties tonight. So that works out really well for him. He's got a 210 average to righties. Or no. Jesus. Anyway, to lefties. 210 average to lefties, but he's only striking them out at like a 12% clip. So the ball will be put in play tonight. Mitchell Parker is not a strikeout guy. He strikes out righties 10% of the time, lefties 16% of the time. This is one where he'll face probably 3 lefties tonight, maybe. I don't know if Victor Scott will go, but he'll face Lars Nootbaar for sure, Brendan Donovan. Those will be 2 lefties that he faces. Giving up a 200 average to lefties, 202 to righties. So he's been really just pretty steady on both sides here. Last start against the Reds wasn't good. They came out swinging at GABP, went 4 innings, gave up 5 earned runs. Fetty, last start was against the Mets, went 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Parker's coming off back-to-back bad starts, right? The outing before that, before the Reds, was against the Mets, where he gave up 6 earned. That said, I want to back the Nats in this one, just the Cardinals on the road. I don't trust Fetty. I'm going to fade it, but man, I don't. Given the Cardinals' road record and Fetty, I think Parker has a decent day. I just hate this Nats bullpen. So it would be like Nats first 5 for me. That's really the only thing I could get behind there. All right, next game is going to be the Brewers and the Rays. Jose Quintana taking on Zach Littell. Littell's last start was really good. It was against the Yankees. I believe he went into the 8th inning. They just could not. They were hitting him. They just couldn't find any holes. But Littell on the season's 2-5 with a 4.61 ERA and opponent average of almost 240. Jose Quintana 4-1 on the year, 283 average, 243 opponent average, 283 ERA. Good God, man, we're off today. I really want to take Milwaukee in this one. However, my concern is, right, and the angle would be the Rays against lefties have been dreadful. But we saw them face Sanchez. They sucked. And then they faced Jesus Luzardo last night. They actually got to him. They were hitting the ball pretty decent against him. So I'm a little hesitant to back Quintana, giving up a 269 average to lefties, 238 to righties. Hard hit percentage is high. Exit velo's high. On the other side for Littell, I mean, he's not going to strike guys out. They're going to put the ball in play. He's got a 261 average to lefties, 226 to righties. My only concern is just both of these teams aren't hitting over the last 2 weeks realistically. And then the Brewers on the road haven't been great. They're 7-12. But Rays at home haven't been good either. They're 9-16. So if you're wondering why the Rays play so many home games, it's because of the weather season. The raining season is coming up here real soon in Tampa. So they're front loading all their home games, and then they're pretty much going to be on the road for like 2 months. So all these home games will come to an end soon, and they'll just be on the road forever. Yeah, just not really a game I want to touch. I was thinking maybe the over. We do have the wind blowing out. It's just, can I get behind two teams that are struggling offensively? So really no great angle. It's Brewers. Brewers are pass for me in that one. All right, Phillies and the Guardians. Phillies got the job done last night, but I think they paid a price in terms of pitching that they used. They used Strom. They used Alvarado. That freaking Hernandez guy gave up a home run. It's Aaron Nola, Gavin Williams today. Nola has looked better. Got to give him a little bit of props. He is coming off of two really good starts. Against Arizona, he went 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs. Against the Cubbies at Wrigley, 7 innings of 3 hit, 1 earned run baseball. Gavin Williams on the other side, he just not a guy I trust, man. Against Toronto, who has been struggling with the bats, they got 7 hits off of him, only got 2 earned runs. Minnesota Twins got 7 hits, 4 earned runs. Yankees, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. I mean, we can count on probably 7 hits today, but I don't love the weather. We've got an 11-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from kind of left center. It's going to be 48 degrees. We do have high humidity, but we also have high pressure. It's just dumpy weather for baseball, but something that Philly would be used to. It's a similar climate there, so I don't think we see any acclimation issues. Gavin Williams against righties is abysmal. He's given up a 381 average to righties, 451 WOBA. He is pitching better to lefties. He's got a 203 batting average to lefties. Obviously, we look at this Philly side, right? Harper, Schwarber, Kepler, Bryson Stott would all be bats from the left-handed side. So then it would be, it'd be Trey Turner, Alex Bohm, Nick Castellanos, Real Muto, and then probably Rojas would be your righties. I don't love it. I don't think it's a great split. I didn't really love how the Phillies came out in that Tampa Bay series. I know they ended up from the winning side. It was great, and they won all 3, but I just don't love it. But they are 8-2 in their last 10. They're 9-9 on the road. Guardians are 11-5 at home. I think Nola has a good start. I lean... Oh, I'm so torn. Like, I want to take the over. That's where I'm at. Like, I don't think Nola gets out of this unscathed, and I think Gavin Williams gives up some hits. It's just one I'm going to keep looking into. Philly doesn't give a ton of run support to Nola, right? They're only averaging 2.86 runs when he pitches. Cleveland's averaging 4.29 when Gavin Williams pitches. That goes up a little bit when they're at home. There's so many angles to this. I need to do a little more research on weather and how they play in these cold weather games. But I do feel like recently in Cleveland, when we've seen this type of wind and this type of weather, they go over. It's been first inning run bonanza, actually. So I would lean towards the over 7.5 still. I don't love this Phillies bullpen, the shape they're in. Obviously, Cleveland does have a bullpen advantage, so maybe Phillies first 5 would be a decent angle there. Okay. Let's see. Cubs and the Mets. This should just be a good series, man. I like this series. This is going to be Clay Holmes and Jameson Taillon, I believe, are the 2 pitchers in that one. Correct, yeah. So Taillon, 2-1 on the year, 219 opponent average, almost a 4 ERA. Clay Holmes, 4-1, 241 opponent average, almost a 3 ERA. If we look at the Mets at home, they've been fantastic. 13-3 on the season. Cubbies on the road have been fantastic. They're 12-7. It's pretty good for away. Cubbies have lost 2 in a row, 5-5 in their last 10. So we're definitely seeing them slow down a little bit. The Mets have won. Let's see. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're on a 1-game winning streak. So this would be an interesting case for a Nerfy. I kind of wanted to take the Nerfy, but didn't. It's a little juiced. Both of these teams are bottom 5 in first inning runs, but I'm going to stay away from it just because it conflicts with my bet. I do like the over 7.5 in this one, so you can get that on FanDuel. Taillon giving up a 290 average to righties, 403 WOBA. Clay Holmes giving up basically we'll say 245 from both sides of the plate. It's like 244 and 246. We're going to average them together. So I do think that Holmes gets hit. I think the Tyone gets hit. So I like guys like, Kyle Tucker today should have a pretty decent day. Who else has a pretty good matchup? Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, has a decent matchup. On the other side, Soto, Lindor, Alonso, those guys have really good matchups. So I just don't want to take the Mets at minus 155. But I do think there's runs scored. I know we're talking about a pretty good Mets bullpen, but we're also talking about a really bad Cubs bullpen. So give me runs to be scored in this one. I don't like the pitch mix for either pitchers. Clay Holmes throws a decent amount of sliders. Cubs are number one hitting the slider. On the Tyone side, he throws a cutter, a slider, and a changeup. Those are all pitches that the Mets love. So I do see runs early in this game. So we're just taking the over. All right, next one, Marlins and the White Sox. This is a fade for me. 55 degrees in Chicago, mid-humidity, high pressure, 4-mile-an-hour wind in from left center. Two pitchers I don't trust, two teams I don't trust. I am not touching this game whatsoever. There's no way I would pay minus 148 for the Marlins, and 124 for the White Sox feels too light. So fade for me in that game. Marlins probably win. Who knows? And who cares? All right, Red Sox and the Royals. Hunter Dobbins going up against Michael Lorenzen. Dobbins and Lorenzen giving up about 260 opponent averages. Dobbins 3.78 ERA, Lorenzen 4.23. I think this should be a fairly interesting game. Kansas City is on a heater. They've won 6 in a row. They're 9-1 their last 10. They're 15-5 at home. Boston 9-10 on the road, but they've won 2 in a row. Still 5-5 in their last 10. I like Dobbins. I think Dobbins actually been a very serviceable pitcher. That said, his last outing against Minnesota wasn't great. Went into the 6th inning, gave up 4 earned runs. But prior to that, a good outing against the White Sox and the Cardinals at home. So this will actually be his first away start. He's had 3 starts in Fenway. Lorenzen on the other side got banged up by Baltimore. In his last start, went into the 5th inning, but gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs. 2 starts prior to that were pretty good. Detroit banged him up a little bit. Cleveland kind of nicked him a little bit. Milwaukee got to him just a little bit. I mean, Lorenzen's just one of those guys, like, you can pretty much count on 3 to 5 strikeouts, 5 to 7 hits, 2 to 3 earned runs. That's just kind of where he lives. He doesn't get blown up too often, but he's going to get dinged up a little bit every time. 70 degrees with mid-humidity and high pressure and a 6-mile-an-hour wind blowing in. So home runs are going to be down about 35%. That works in Kansas City's favor because they don't hit home runs. So definitely helps them in that factor. Runs are going to be pretty neutral. We got an over-under of 9. I think that might be a little high. Slight lean towards the under. We've seen the Royals haven't just been like destroying teams. So I would lean Boston or the under in this one, but no official play. Next one is going to be the Reds and the Astros. Roof's going to be closed, so we don't have to worry about weather. Nick Martinez on the bump. He is going to have to go for a long time. This Reds bullpen is the definition of depleted. But I'll tell you what, can't remember what that guy's name is that pitched last night. M-E-Y. He's going to be the future closer of the Reds. Guy throws about 100. He's just got nasty movement and nasty stuff. So if he can get his act together, he's the guy that they brought up for Diaz. When they sent him down, boy, he looked good. He has got some electric stuff. But anyway, Nick Martinez, Hunter Brown. Martinez is going to be out there. It doesn't matter what happens today. He can give up 25 runs. He is going 6 innings tonight. That or he's going to hit a pitch limit. But the Reds bullpen, they have no other choice. They are taxed beyond belief. So, Martinez, good or bad, he's going to be out there for at least 100 tonight. Hunter Brown on the other side. I like Hunter Brown. I like the way he's trending. His last start wasn't fantastic. It was one of those, like, he got off to a really rough start early against the White Sox, gave up 3 runs, I want to say, in the first inning, and then he settled in, ended up with 9 Ks. He had 9 Ks in his last start start before that against the Royals, 9 Ks against Toronto, who is not easy to get Ks off of. He had 8 Ks against the Twins. He's had a hell of a year. We're going to take him to go over 6.5 Ks, Nick Martinez, 4+ hits. Pair those together is plus 100. I might even ladder his Ks. I think fair value for him to get 8 Ks tonight is technically like minus 120. And you can get it for like plus 140. So I'll be taking him to get 8 Ks. I'll probably even take a little sprinkle on 9. I just don't love this Reds lineup. He is striking righties and lefties out above 30% clip. Reds team striking out about 25% over the past week. I just hate it. I mean, when I look through this lineup, like, he's probably going to strike out Steer a couple times. Friedel, Fraley, De La Cruz. Probably we won't get Lux. Maybe. Stevenson will strike out. Blake Dunn will strike out. Matt McClain will strike out. This team is very K prone right now if you've watched any of the games, which unfortunately I've watched them all. And then on the other side, I don't think Martinez gets many Ks. This team isn't a team that Ks a ton. Probably Paredes will strike out. Maybe Jake Myers, guys like that. Jeremy Pena, possibly. Brendan Rodgers, but they're going to put the ball in play. So 4 hits shouldn't be a problem here. So that's the play I have in that. Just want to pay minus 180 to take the Astros ultimately, but they most likely win. All right, Giants and the Twins. This is a tough one. Give me the Giants on the money line. That's my official play, and I'll tell you why. Do I want to back Jordan Hicks? Not necessarily. He's rocking a 6 ERA. He's 1-3 with a 265 opponent average. Going up against Chris Paddock, who is 0-3 with a 250 opponent average and a 5.57 ERA. Now, the expected ERA for Hicks is so much lower. It's 3.52, and I do think there is some positive statistics coming here. And I like the way the Giants are hitting the baseball. So I kind of look at it 2 ways. Why I'm on the Giants, it's twofold. I think the Twins they're on a 5-game winning streak. I don't love the way they've looked. I've been betting them, but this is a perfect spot. I think Chris Paddock absolutely gets shelled. He's given up a 294 average to right-handed hitters. So that means guys like Chapman, Adams, Flores, Koss, Ramos, all those guys are righties in the lineup. So I love them to do some damage tonight. I think Jung-Hoo Lee is just one of those dudes that can hit from either side. But when I look at pitching matchups tonight, I mean, they're 10s. On a 1 to 10 scale, Bailey, Chapman, Adams, Flores, Wade, or Yastrzemski, all those guys are 10s. So even if they get into a slugfest here, I just trust the Giants more. They're hitting almost 300 over the past week with a 131 WRC plus versus right-handers. So this is one of those, if it turns into a slugfest, so be it. I still like the Giants, but I think Hicks actually pitches decent tonight. I don't think the Twins are going to be able to hit his fastball, and I think he's going to have some success with that slider. So that's where I'm at. So Giants on the money line, minus 102 on FanDuel. Next game, Padres and the Rockies. Jesus. I mean, this might be the worst pitching matchup ever. If we look on paper, like, the ERAs aren't bad, but Randy Vasquez and Antonio Senzatella, it's bad. Give me the Padres on the run line. The only way I would play this. If we look at the Rockies, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They've lost 6 in a row. They're 4-14 at home. Padres are 500 on the road. Trusting Vasquez is a ridiculously bad task. Just the matchups today are just absurd. I mean, every pitcher, every hitter on San Diego is a 9 or a 10 on the matchup scale. Now, that said, almost every hitter on the Colorado side is a 9 or a 10, with the exception of Jordan Beck and Trejo, who are 7s. So I kind of want to take the over 11. It's just really high, but I do think it probably goes over that number. Senzatella giving up a 375 opponent average, giving up an average of 388 to lefties, 371 to righties. Vasquez actually been decent to righties, not so good against lefties. So Padres on the run line. Ultimately, I might place this. I would say there's probably a decent chance I do, especially given yesterday and how the Tigers just absolutely destroyed them. All right, next one, Orioles and the Angels. We've got Tomoyuki Sagano going up against Kyle Hendricks. Angels, I mean, it looked like a W yesterday. That was one of those. I had the Angels team total over 3.5, and they hit that in the second inning. It was 4-0. So I'm like, all right, well, shit, I probably should have took the money line. Glad I didn't, because that bullpen came through once again in the negative fashion. This bullpen is a 7.15 ERA, 29th in the MLB. However, just wait. They're going up against the 28th ranked ERA in the Orioles, who have a 5.36 ERA. So we got an over-under of 9.5 with mid-humidity, mid-pressure, and the wind blowing out. I would lean towards the over, just given these terrible, terrible bullpens. So who's going to win? I don't know. I think you're getting. I'm not taking the Orioles at this value. I'll tell you that. If you can get minus 136, that's a little different. It's like minus 148 on sharper. It was not sharper books. Let's say mainstream books. More mainstream books. So to me, it's Orioles. If you can get them closer to like 135-ish, if for some reason that drops, I'd be cool with that, or the over. But two bad pitching staffs right there. Next one, Dodgers and the D-backs. Gosh darn, Dodgers couldn't come out firing. Roki Sasaki going up against Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez almost a 6 ERA. Sasaki almost a 4. I don't like the pitch splits for Rodriguez. I'll be honest. Everything he throws, Dodgers are top 10 in. They are third hitting the changeup. He throws that 21% of the time. They are second against the slider. He throws that 11% of the time. And then the rest is a fastball and a cutter. And they're 9th and 7th in those. Rodriguez giving up a 300 average to lefties. I mean, you kind of ultimately think right there, okay, Freeman, Shohei, guys like that are going to go to town. Then he's giving up almost a 300 average to righties. So nothing I love. The only thing he's not doing, he's not giving up a ton of hard hits. Whereas Sasaki giving up about 204 to lefties, 220-ish to righties. Strikeout rate's pretty poor. And he's giving up decent hard hits here. So I could definitely see the D-backs just absolutely pounce on Sasaki and crush him. So I'm going to fade this game. I would lean the over 10. I do think there should be some offense tonight. It is going to be hot there. It is going to be 100 at the start of the game, and then it gets down to like 97, but really low humidity. If you've ever been out west, you know it's just not the same as being like 100 degrees on the East Coast is like drenched in sweat. Not the same out there. Low humidity, mid-pressure, 4-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left center, so runs are going to be up 7%. Yeah, I mean, over 10 doesn't sound unreasonable, but I'm going to fade this game. All right, last game is actually, you know what? We got 2 more. That's my bad. All right, so it's going to be Blue Jays and the Mariners. Kevin Gausman going up against Luis Castillo. Blue Jays on the road. Not been a fun story. 6-12 on the year, 17-20 overall, 4-6 in their last 10. We look at the Mariners. They're 12-6 at home. They're always a good home team. They've won 2 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Offensively, they've just looked fantastic. Cal Raleigh has just been like an insta hit. This is 61 degrees. I think the roof's actually going to be open in this game. So 61 degrees, low humidity, high pressure. So that's going to impact carry. 6-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left field. Runs are going to be down about 16%. Home runs down about 14. But I trust Luis Castillo at home. I don't trust this Toronto Blue Jays offense, although they have been stepping it up. So there's that angle. But this is a Mariner spot for me. Gausman, just not a dude I can trust if I'm just being honest, but his stats are good. Everything on paper says take Toronto at plus money. I just don't know if I can get behind it. I mean, technically guys like Santander, Springer, Bichette, Vlad, I don't know. I guess as I kind of look into this more into the numbers, they do favor Toronto, but man, I don't trust them. And the Mariners at home are just too good. So I guess from a value perspective, I wouldn't hate Blue Jays, but there's never any intention on playing anything in this game. So that's where I'm at with that one. All right, last game is going to be the Yankees and the A's. We do have a play in this one. It's going to be an interesting one. Osvaldo Bido for the A's going up against Will Warren for the Yankees. Will take me to Pound Town, Warren. Tampa Bay Rays gave up 7 hits, 3 earned runs. Baltimore, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. So I don't trust this guy. Bido gave up 4 earned runs, but he only gave up 3 hits to the Marlins. So that was he had some walk issues and then gave up a home run. Against the White Sox, he gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run. So not bad, but we're talking about the White Sox. Against the Rangers at home, he gave up 8 hits, 8 earned runs. I think he gets absolutely shelled today. I hate this matchup for him. I think Ben Rice has a heck of a day. Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, Austin Wells, Grisham, you name it. The only guys I really don't like against him today would be like Oswaldo Cabrera and Dominguez. I think those two might struggle a little bit against him, but everybody else has a plus matchup. On the other side, I mean, there's positive matchups everywhere. Lawrence Butler, Booker, Langoliers, those guys all have pretty good matchups. So I think runs are scored. So we're going to do a little bit of a combined same game parlay in this one. But in terms of the weather, 84 degrees, low humidity and mid pressure. So not bad for carry. And we've got the wind blowing out the center field. So home runs are going to be up 13%, runs up 9%. Kind of been a system play to take the Yankees when home runs are up. But yeah, you got to back Will Warren. And I'm just not willing to go down that path. But I would say that the Yankees win this. But we'll talk about how we're going to play it. All right, let's get into our best bets here. Okay, so like I said, we're going to take the Rangers Tigers nerfy. We're going to take the Giants on the money line at minus 102. And then we're going to take Beto under 4.5 Ks, which is a little scary going up against a Yankees team that does like to strike out a lot, but he doesn't have a ton of strikeout stuff. And we're going to pair that with over 2.5 earned runs. You get plus 156 doing it that way. We're going to take Hunter Brown over 6.5 Ks, Nick Martinez to give up 4 hits at plus 100. And then our last play is going to be the Mets and the Cubs to go over 7.5. Jameson Taillon, Clay Holmes, they should be giving up hits. These are two pretty potent offenses. One of them will win this game. I think we can say that with certainty. I don't think we're going to see a tie unless it goes on for 50 innings. But yeah, it could be a tight game. I could see this being like a 3-3, 4-4 going into extras or something like that possibly. So that is where I'm at, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. And make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you in the next video.